In the little explored slopes of northern Pakistan, nestled between the valleys of Bumbaret, Rumbur, and Biryur, lives the Kalash community. With a population of around 3,000 to 4,000 people, they are the smallest ethnic minority in the country. Their way of life stands out, especially due to their religious practices, which contrast sharply with the predominantly Muslim region. The Kalash follow animism and uphold rituals that have been passed down through generations. Beyond their unique customs, one striking detail draws attention. Some members have blue eyes, an uncommon trait in Asia. This feature has sparked debates about the origins of the Kalash people, leading to theories that trace their roots back to Europe. Some even suggest that they are descendants of soldiers from Alexander the Great's army, who remained in the region thousands of years ago. While there is no consensus on the exact origin of these traits, one thing is certain: the Kalash have preserved their beliefs, festivals, and a worldview that is often misunderstood by the surrounding population. This isolation only deepens the mystery surrounding their history, leaving scholars and visitors alike wondering, what is the true origin of this unique people? Amid the mountains of northern Pakistan, there's a community that has preserved its ancestral customs and maintained a unique way of life. Known as the Kalash, they stand out for their traditions that trace back to ancient practices, something rare in a predominantly Muslim country. Over the past century, they've faced intense pressure to convert to Islam, but many have resisted, pushing back against persistent efforts to erase their cultural heritage. For the Kalash, giving in isn't just about adopting a new belief system. It's about risking the loss of a community that values passing down knowledge from generation to generation. Those who have abandoned their roots are often distanced from their own families and friends, highlighting just how deeply their customs continue to shape their identity. Another remarkable aspect of Kalash life is the equality between men and women. Unlike in much of the country here, everyone attends the same schools, shares daily responsibilities, and comes together to celebrate festivals filled with music and dance. On top of that, marriage is almost always a choice based on love and personal connection, in contrast to the arranged marriages common in other parts of Pakistan. Deep in the mountains of Pakistan, the Kalash tribe stands out for something that breaks away from the norm in the predominantly Muslim country. They brew and drink their own alcohol. This tradition not only draws curious visitors but also reinforces the tribe's unique identity, as they continue to uphold ancient customs despite being in an environment that isn't exactly welcoming to such practices. A key part of their culture is the three major festivals they celebrate throughout the year: Chilam Joshi, Uchao, and Camos. Chilam Joshi takes place in May, welcoming spring and highlighting the role of women in the community. Uchao, on the other hand, marks the beginning of autumn with dancing and singing to celebrate the changing season. But it's during Camos that the tribe reaches its cultural peak. Held in the heart of winter, this festival is more private, allowing only adults who are well-versed in the rituals to take part. In this way, Camos serves as a bridge between the past and the present, ensuring that Kalash heritage stays alive for future generations. Have you ever imagined attending a festival where entry is only allowed after going through purification rituals? Among the Kalash, an isolated community, that's just how things work. Before any major celebration, those who don't meet the purity requirements must go through specific practices to prepare. And that's not all. Every member of the tribe has their own rite of passage, reflecting their deep connection to nature and their ancestors. For young men, the most challenging stage takes place in the mountains. They are sent off alone with only goats for company, surviving solely on meat and milk for the entire period. This extreme experience tests their physical and emotional endurance, and is a mandatory step before they can be recognized at the community's most important festivals. Women also go through periods of isolation, but in a different context. During menstruation and after childbirth, they stay in a separate structure called the Baziolini, located away from the main houses. During this time, they are not allowed any physical or social contact with their families. However, they can receive food from a distance, and interestingly, this isolation period often influences the tribe's love lives, since it's when women tend to decide whether to start or end relationships. These customs go beyond just being fascinating traditions. They are what keep the group's identity strong and ensure that their cultural heritage continues to thrive across generations. In an isolated region of Pakistan, the Kalash community follows traditions that stand in contrast to the more common practices across the country. One of their unique customs involves a consensual abduction, where a woman chooses the man she wants to marry and moves into his family's home. 2 months after this move, she returns to her parents' house for the official wedding ceremony. If she later decides to remarry, her new husband must compensate her ex by paying double the original dowry. Divorce is fairly common among the Kalash, and if a woman chooses to end her marriage, the husband accepts her decision without argument. This approach to marriage and divorce is very different from the norms in other parts of Pakistan, where more conservative attitudes tend to prevail. Among the Kalash, women enjoy remarkable autonomy. They choose their partners and can leave a relationship without fear of judgment. This freedom, so rare in other parts of the country, is an essential part of the Kalash way of life. High up in the mountains of Pakistan, the Kalash tribe lives in a way that contrasts with the stricter traditions found in other parts of the country. Here, women have a certain level of autonomy. They can choose their partners and take part in festivals filled with music and dance. This stands out, especially when compared to the reality faced by many Pakistani women in regions where social norms are much more rigid. But despite this relatively less restrictive environment, interactions with the outside world aren't always easy. When Kalash women marry men from outside the tribe, especially Muslims, cultural conflicts often arise, sometimes involving both families and the entire community. On top of that, women who leave and later return face the risk of being excluded from traditional Kalash festivals, experiencing social isolation that limits their role in the tribe's most important events. Even within the tribe, some roles are still divided by gender. Women take care of household duties, while men handle physically demanding work, trade, and travel outside the home. Certain separation practices remain in place, like the rule that men and women must bathe in separate areas. At the end of the day, life for Kalash women is a balancing act. On one hand, they enjoy unique freedoms, but on the other, they remain deeply tied to traditions that still shape and sometimes limit their place in society. Imagine yourself in the heart of the Kalash Valley, a place often called the Valley of the Fairies. This is where the Camos festival takes place, a celebration that the Kalash tribe experiences with deep intensity. One of the most highly anticipated moments is the Bubulak, when young men return from a period of isolation. According to rumors, they are supposedly free to choose partners without restrictions, even among married women. However, the Kalash strongly deny this, insisting that such claims distort their traditions and misrepresent their identity. As you walk through the valley, you can't help but notice the striking beauty of Kalash women, known for their unique features, such as fair skin and striking eyes. Their outfits blend vibrant colors and carefully crafted ornaments, creating a style that merges ancestral heritage with a unique take on modernity. Their intricate hairstyles, often adorned with braids and accessories, tell stories of dedication and tradition woven into every strand. But this distinctive look is more than just a way to present themselves to the world. It reflects the deep respect the Kalash have for their roots. Every detail is part of a narrative that has been passed down for generations, captivating travelers who come from all over to witness it. In the end, the Camos festival leaves visitors with the feeling that they have experienced something truly authentic, a moment where traditions and beliefs intertwine, keeping alive the essence of a people who, above all, cherish their culture and heritage. In a remote mountain region of Pakistan, the Kalash community has long fascinated the world with its unique characteristics. Among them, the striking blue eyes of some Kalash women stand out, sparking debates and stories about their possible origins. One of the most talked about legends suggests a connection to Alexander the Great. According to this story, around 320 BC, Alexander sought refuge in these lands, leaving behind descendants who may still carry traces of his genetic legacy. Interestingly, the Kalash women's love for festivals and wine adds fuel to this theory, as it echoes cultural traits often linked to the Macedonian leader. While there's no solid evidence to prove this ancestry, the legend remains alive, intriguing researchers and visitors alike. The fascination grows even stronger when you see the contrast between the rugged mountain landscape and the piercing blue eyes that continue to fuel speculation about the tribe's origins. With no definitive answers, the mystery endures, adding to the allure surrounding Kalash women. This uncertainty is precisely what keeps the fascination alive. As people gaze into their eyes, they can't help but wonder, where does truth end and legend begin? And in that space, the enigmatic origins of the Kalash continue to captivate the world.